Don't feel guilty watching this video and don't worry about this donut. You can enjoy this video to the last crumb and not get fat. Howdy my fellow time travelers! Are you ready to jump into this donut hole? Let's go! Did you know that you'd need to put 253,440 donuts on a string at the Grand Canyon's narrowest point, about 4 miles wide, to reach the other side? If that's too crazy, you can reach the top of the Statue of Liberty with only 3,660 donuts, or with just over 55 million donuts. You'd cross the US from Long Beach, California to Long Island, New York. That bunny will bring the rest of this sticky situation to you today. Enjoy! Donuts!
The origin of the donut is heavily debated. The donut is believed to have existed in prehistoric times, but the only evidence that we have today are strange ring-shaped objects in Bronze Age, still-freed Austria, made from a unique form of cereal-based product, very different from donuts as we know them today. The dough was made from fine quality flour and then most likely shaped from wet cereal mixture and dried without baking. Some archaeologists think that these cereal rings may not have been made for eating. They may have been created for some unknown ritual purpose. The concept of fried dough is not exclusive to one country or culture, and variations of the donut can be seen across the globe. There are legends about the Dutch settlers who arrived in New Amsterdam, today's Manhattan, who brought with them a cake called ollekek, oily cake in English, that seems to be a precursor for the American donut. Records show that the Dutch were making their oily cakes as early as the mid-19th century. These early donuts were simply balls of cake fried in pork fat until golden brown. Because the center of the cake did not cook as fast as the outside, the cakes were sometimes stuffed with fruit, nuts, or other fillings that did not require cooking. As Dutch immigrants began to settle in the United States, they continued to make their oil cakes, and they were influenced by other cultures, which continued to morph into what we call donuts today. So in the 19th century, American donuts were already in vogue. But instead of being fried in vegetable oil, which was light but too expensive for the time, they were probably fried with pork lard, which was inexpensive and tasty, allowing the fried donuts to stay soft and fluffy for days, thanks to the presence of potato yeast. But this is not the only legend about the birth of the donut. In the 19th century, Elizabeth Gregory, mother of New England cruise captain Hanson Crockett Gregory, is said to have prepared for her son and the entire crew a kind of fried donut flavored with cinnamon, nutmeg, and lemon peel, with nuts and hazelnuts in the center, which was called dough with nuts and later took the name of donuts. But soon after, her son Hanson declared himself the inventor of the donut with the hole. In some stories, the hole was to make the fried donuts lighter by removing the nuts and making them resemble a life preserver. But later he declared instead that he made the hole during a storm at sea, when he needed to keep both hands firmly on the rudder and stuck the fried donut on a spoke of the wheel itself to keep it close by. Is it true? There are those who are instead convinced that the ring shape was useful to attract the attention of customers by hanging donuts from wooden sticks. The truth about donuts is hard to verify. Another interesting legend is from Chief High Eagle of the Wampanoag tribe, when his people were chasing a settler who, while fleeing, held a pancake in his hand. They threw arrows that missed and dug a hole inside the cake, thus giving life to the concept of the perforated donut that we know today. The first written record of the word donut is in Washington Irving's 1809 publication, History of New York. By the early 1900s, many had shortened the word to donut. Today, donut and donut are used interchangeably in the English language. A great novelty for donut lovers came in 1911 with Crisco, hydrogenated cottonseed oil, a kind of tasteless, odorless, and kosher vegetable fat used to fry donuts. The name Crisco was a modification of the phrase crystallized cottonseed oil, and their initial intent was to completely harden oils for use as raw material for making soap. Further success came from the marketing technique of giving away free cookbooks in which every recipe called for Crisco. Crisco was immediately widespread, especially in the years around the First World War, when buying animal fat became more and more difficult, while Crisco was easily available in stores. Donuts had a great impact on the First World War. They became more and more famous and were the consolatory meal for many soldiers in battle. It's said that 250 Salvation Army volunteers, known as the Doughnut Girls, prepared hot coffee and donuts for exhausted soldiers, and that after the war in 1938, the National Doughnut Girls were established in Chicago with the intention of raising funds to fight the Great Depression and to thank volunteers for their important support. In 1920, Russian-born immigrant Adolph Levitt created the first automated donut machine. The futuristic automated donut-making process was featured at the 1934 World's Fair in Chicago. The fair advertised donuts as the food hit of the century of progress, and they became widespread across the country. In 1930, when Frenchman Joe LeBeu moved to Kentucky and sold his secret recipe for American donuts, along with the name he had given them, Krispy Kreme, to Ismail Armstrong, who, with the help of his nephew Vernon Rudolph, started selling fried donuts door to door. In 1937, Vernon Rudolph, with only $25, went to North Carolina with a friend of his and began to produce and sell donuts on the street, thus giving life to the Krispy Kreme brand that still thrives in America today. Even during and after the Second World War, the consumption of American donuts skyrocketed. In the 50s, Krispy Kreme had 29 stores in 12 states, and since then it's been fighting head-to-head for the record with the famous Dunkin' Donuts, which slowly conquered the market by selling 5 times more donuts than Krispy Kreme. Today in America, about 10 billion donuts are produced, with even more advanced machines, of which only 1 billion are produced by Krispy Kreme, and they've continued to use the one and only original Joe LeBeu recipe for almost a century. But now, we need to talk about the craziest donuts that have been created and that few people would even want to eat. In 2013, Krispy Kreme tried a collaboration with Chicken Charlie's in Del Mar, California, and created a soggy mess that entered the history of donuts under the name of the Sloppy Joenut. Chef Charlie Bagosian inserted minced meat, sloppy Joe sauce, and cheddar cheese between the halves of a half-glazed donut, dipping the poor donut in sauces and fat. Would you eat it? A year later, in 2014, Tim Hortons, a Canadian multinational fast food restaurant chain based in Toronto, released a monstrosity to the world for the New York State Fair. Donuts that would have become famous for leaving scars and eclipsing the monotonous and soft traditional donut. We are talking about the abominable donut known as Buffalo Crunch Donut, a combination of sweet donut, heart-shaped donut, and buffalo hot sauce glaze, topped with chopped buffalo chips and a puddle of buffalo sauce to dip. Why, Tim Hortons? Why? New York is the mecca of culinary creativity. But here's a case about a Halloween joke that is served every morning in a place called the Doughnut Project. The donut is known as Bone-Marrow Donut, a donut filled with chocolate and real beef bone marrow, pulled from beef and pork bones, roasted and stuffed with the chocolate into the donut, which is then glazed with clementine glaze and chocolate shavings. Not bad to start the day out with, right? But if you prefer, you can always comfort yourself with an expensive Foie Gras donut. This donut is stuffed with fatty duck liver and jam. Surely it's an original variation that could make you give up traditional donuts forever and become a lover of Foie Gras. But if you don't care about price, then your choice could fall on the luxury Zebra Cro. The really original part of this donut is the addition of caviar and gold leaf. Of course, every crumb is paid for dearly. But if all this seems crazy to you, well, we saved the best for last. In June 2019, LEGO released the Donut Shop with its city theme set. It includes a toy shop and a donut shop with ATM and release trigger to drop the giant donut on top of the building. And in spring 2020, Krispy Kreme launched for a limited run all-new fruit-flavored pastel-colored donuts in 3 different flavors: key lime, lemon, and strawberry. At this point, why not try a real Italian donut instead, called Ciambellone? It's a simple, sunny Italian tea cake with lemon zest and a rich crumb, typically baked in a tube pan, which gives it a torus shape and a large size. In the big soft donut, you can add sweet wine, aniseed, chocolate chips, and candied fruit or yogurt. If you want to try, you can find the recipe below. At this point, all that remains is for us to ask you which one is your favorite donut. Leave a comment now, your opinion matters. And if you want to become a time traveler, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more strange stories told by an alien and her imaginary friend, a pair that otherwise can't be found anywhere. If you'd like to support us on Patreon, you can find the link in the description as well as our store. In our store, you can get an exclusive Christmas-themed t-shirt, sticker, and mug. And of course, stay safe with a My Story, Your Story mask.
If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you don't, press thumbs down twice, just to be sure. Take it easy. Peace! Oh, by the way, I'm an alien. But not that kind of alien.
I do not know what you're talking about.